Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Metal Gear Solid analysis. Whoo, man, I haven't said that in a while. That feels good. Let's dive right into it. There's a good amount of information that I'd like to disclose to you guys, be it stuff that was revealed after the trailer was shown during the PlayStation Showcase, or just by looking at some of the screenshots that Konami released alongside some neat little references and Easter eggs in the trailer itself. So for those who don't know, the website for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater has gone up, and in it you'll find a number of in-game screenshots that I'll talk about in a minute. But alongside that, the developers of this game, who are still a mystery, tweeted the following message and also put it up on the website itself. And you'll notice that looking at the statement, they sign this statement as just development team, so we don't know for sure who exactly is making this game, which is interesting that they're keeping that so under the veil. But let's see what they have to say. We thank you and sincerely appreciate your continuous support. Currently, the development team are working together to create an environment where fans can experience and enjoy the Metal Gear series on the latest platforms. We're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, one of the most beloved installments of the Metal Gear series, revealing the origin story of Snake, or Big Boss, as Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. We're working hard for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater to be a faithful recreation of the original story and game design while evolving the gameplay with stunning visuals and a seamless user experience, which is exactly what we want out of this remake. Don't change what Kojima established, just add upon what's already there, enhance and modernize what needs to be modernized. But in terms of the story and the beat-by-beat progression of the game and the level design and all these things, you want to retain as much of that as possible. So the fact that they are expressing that that's their goal is a positive sign. All right, so with that out of the way, let's move along and take a look at the screenshots, starting with the wallpaper for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Interesting nomenclature, Delta. On one hand, this triangle has 3 sides, so that might be a symbolism for the fact that this is Metal Gear Solid 3, but a remake, it's different. Delta is also a certain type of landform, an area of low flat land, sometimes shaped approximately like a triangle, where a river divides into several smaller rivers before flowing into the sea. There are also swamp deltas, which is in line with some of the environments that you get to roam around in Metal Gear Solid 3, so it might be not that as well. Delta might also refer to the military term ThreatCon Delta, which means that an area has been afflicted by a terrorist attack, which, when you think about it, kind of occurs in Metal Gear Solid 3 when Volgin launches that mini-nuke that starts this international conflict between the USA and Russia. And in mathematics, delta is a symbol representing a change in something. So the delta in the title could be referring to this being Snake Eater, but it changing and transforming into something more modernized. These are just theories, though. The developers haven't explained their exact intentions. But as far as Snake's character model goes, I think they freaking nailed it. I think the character model looks really awesome. And if this is representative of the graphics fidelity we can expect in-game, then this game could very well look quite beautiful. And while the trailer itself didn't really show us gameplay, Konami did release a number of screenshots on the official website that give us a glimpse for the kind of graphics fidelity we can expect. And gotta say, like, so far, so good. So let's start by taking a look at this screenshot. People who've played Metal Gear Solid 3, fans of Metal Gear Solid 3, will immediately recognize this as the starting area of the Virtuous mission, where you have to retrieve your backpack. In fact, zooming in, you can see right here that the backpack is still there, and Snake has to climb this tree, walk up to it, and then drop down to pick it up. More specifically, this starting area of the Virtuous mission is called Dremouchige South, and you can see in the game itself where Snake has to climb up the tree, like so. And there's the backpack stuck on the tree. Next up, we got this image of a crocodile, which many will remember from the original Metal Gear Solid 3. And this area specifically is the one right after the starting area, Dremouchige South. Once you retrieve your backpack and move on from Dremouchige South, you end up in Dremouchige Swampland. And going into the swampland, you'll eventually stumble upon this area right here, where you'll find this crocodile. I believe this is literally the exact crocodile that's being shown in this screenshot. You can see right here this bit of landmass that is very similar to the one right here. There's all this mud that you can sink into. So that's what this screenshot is highlighting. You can see a noticeable graphics update, obviously. And then going past the swampland, you'll end up in an area called Dremuchij North, and that's what this screenshot highlights. This guard right here will be very familiar for those who have played Metal Gear Solid 3. This right here is Dremuchij North. And as you delve further into it, you'll stumble upon this little area right here where you find these 2 trees and then an enemy guarding this particular post. And if you look at the remake screenshot, you'll find that the layout is exactly the same. You've got the 2 trees here. You've got another tree all the way in the back here. You've got this guard guarding this post, and then even things like this tree trunk right here and then the grass over here where you can hide. All of that is exactly the same as it is in the original game. So in terms of faithfulness to the original game, so far they're nailing it. Like literally the assets are in the exact same position. Look at these trees here and then these trees here. You can see that they're identically placed in the remake as well. So far, lots of kudos for how faithful this remake seems to be. And all of this, by the way, is during the Virtuous mission. Metal Gear Solid 3 is divided into the intro section, the Virtuous mission, and then the main game, Operation Snake Eater. This is all still during Virtuous mission. And as you go further along, you eventually stumble upon this area called Dolinovodno. And this is where you'll find that iconic, long, rocky bridge. 2 guards will sort of start coming towards you. And those 2 guards are represented right here alongside the bridge itself. And on the other side, you'll see that, I mean, this is literally identical to the original game. Pretty damn impressive. And it's also on this bridge where the boss reveals to Naked Snake, that she's defecting and kicks Snake's ass, throws him down this cliff into the river where Snake gets washed away while Vulcan indulges in the scene. And this is also where the Cobra unit gets introduced. This is a pretty important set piece right here. Now, before the boss's defection cutscene, Snake's mission is to rescue rocket scientist Nikolai Sokolov. And to do that, he has to enter Razvet, which you do so by crossing this bridge. And in the original game, once you get to about here, the game transitions you into Razvet, which looks something like this. And we can get a glimpse of what the remake version will look like in this screenshot that shows us this ravaged warehouse of sorts. And comparing this to the original game, you can see this is the exact staircase that Snake can use to get up here. And there's an item hidden over here. And yeah, this is from a different angle, and it's in this area, Razvet, where Snake rescues Sokolov and then has an encounter with Major Ocelot. And then after that, Snake heads back out here and tries to cross the bridge with Sokolov to rescue him before he's stopped by the boss and Vulcan and the Cobra unit, and Naked Snake is betrayed, seemingly, and is thrown off this cliff. Which finally brings us to the last screenshot. This right here takes place after the Virtuous mission. This is Operation Snake Eater at this point. It's this rainy swamp area, which fans of Metal Gear Solid 3 will recognize as Chornij Prud. This is the area directly after Razvet. During the Virtuous mission, Snake enters Razvet, then goes back to Dolinovodno before he's confronted by the boss. Once you get to Operation Snake Eater, you enter Razvet. Snake rests here for a minute, has another encounter with Ocelot, and then from there he moves on to this swamp area. And delving further into the swamp, you'll eventually find this location where you can see there is some rope that Snake can cling on to get onto these platforms where you can retrieve some items. But then there's this area where you can land on. I believe this is exactly what you're looking at in this screenshot. I believe back here is that same land. In fact, you can see this rope right here that Snake might be able to grab onto, just like he does in the original game right here. So yeah, these 6 screenshots essentially show us the first 6 major areas of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. I'm very curious to find out what engine they're using to make Metal Gear Solid Delta, but it's looking pretty good so far from what I can see. I want to see the game in motion before judging, but so far, I mean, I'm impressed by the fidelity of the models, the textures, the lighting. We'll see how it all comes together in the final game, or hopefully in gameplay footage that we'll see in the future. To close things off, I want to take one last look at the trailer that we saw and highlight some of the references and some of the little details that were showcased in this trailer that you might have missed. So let's begin. So the graphics fidelity here is very high. Look at all the detail here. I doubt that this is in engine. And it does say at the bottom here, at the start of the trailer, that it's not actual gameplay footage. But yeah, I mean, look at how detailed these ants are. And if it is an engine, well, it's definitely a much higher resolution render of how the final game will look. So this is our first little reference right here. This, ladies and gentlemen, you may recall if you hunted for animals in the original game, that this right here is none other than the poison dart frog. It's got the same red body with blue arms that is visible in this trailer right here, though this one seems to be dead. And then eventually it is picked up by a bird that many Metal Gear Solid 3 fans should find familiar. Now, before we get to that, look at what's going on back here. 4 helicopters who are carrying this giant contraption. This is, without question, the Shagohod. This is literally the cutscene that plays at the end of the Virtuous mission, where in the case of the original game, 5 helicopters are transporting the Shagohod to its destination. Now, it's fair to say that this right here isn't representative of the final game. This is all specifically made for the sake of a reveal trailer, because the continuity doesn't make sense, as we'll see later in the trailer. But this is just like a reference that they put in there to kind of try to tease early on as the reveal was happening that, hey, this is, yeah, it's probably what you think it is. It's probably Metal Gear Solid 3. And then this green bird right here is also a major hint because, well, if you'll recall, this is a good shot of the bird, actually. One of the Cobra unit members, the End, has a green parrot with him at almost all times. In fact, right here, I tweeted about this, highlighting the End with the parrot right next to him, and you can see that this parrot looks very similar to the End's parrot. It's either that exact same parrot or a very strong reference to that parrot, and we can get a more detailed look at the parrot right here. And in this frame, you can also get a glimpse of these fences that are very reminiscent to the ones you'll find in the original game. Here are some of the fences from the original game. It's got the same kind of pattern with the X's and everything, and here's what it looks like in the remake trailer. Now, these fences right here are electrified, which is representative of some of the segments you'll find in the original game. Though the electric fences in the original game have a different design. They look like this. You can see right here the sparks that are emanating from these fences, and it's just like wires going horizontally in parallel. This right here, these are not electric fences. So what we're seeing in the trailer is a combination of the design of the non-electric fence combined with the electric nature of the fences right here. Whatever the case, they're electric fences. You come across them in Metal Gear Solid 3, so this right here was yet another nudge and wink. Now, one thing to note also is that the weather here is very stormy. And in Metal Gear Solid 3, that tends to happen when the Sorrow is around. So I'm wondering if, like, the Sorrow is hidden somewhere in this trailer. I haven't been able to spot him, but if somebody else does, let me know. And then as we delve further, we find a bit of symbolism here. Not only do we get this swamp-like area that further hints at a setting that is very much that of Metal Gear Solid 3, but also we see a snake hunting a parrot that is very reminiscent of the Ends, which I think symbolizes Snake going after the Cobra unit, but at the same time, he has to deal with the forces of nature like this crocodile. And it, I think, represents the kind of struggle that Snake faces throughout the course of this game, both with nature and with his human enemies, or inhuman, I should say. We get a little shot of underwater before rising back up, and as the camera pans in slowly, I don't see anything around here that is a major reference, but eventually we do see none other than Naked Snake enter the frame. Now, you'll notice that in this shot, Naked Snake is wearing the boss's headband, which he grabs off of her as he's getting thrown off the bridge during the Virtuous mission when the boss reveals her defection. Snake doesn't put on the headband until Operation Snake Eater begins, and the Shagohod being lifted by the helicopters, that happens during the Virtuous mission. So that's what I meant before by how there's no real continuity in this trailer. It's just a bunch of imagery of Metal Gear stitched together, because if this were story accurate, then Snake wouldn't be wearing this headband while the Shagohod is being flown. In fact, he'd be beat up near the shore of a river with paramedic in his ear guiding him through medical procedures to heal his injuries from the fall and from the river dragging him along. So yeah, it's safe to say that this right here is not an in-game cutscene or anything like that. It's just, this is specifically made to, I think, highlight the visual style of the game and just to give us a glimpse of the character models and to let us know that this game is happening, to tease the big reveal at the end. And with the music finally kicking in, and with this iconic imagery staring back at us, it is finally revealed that this is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So that's coming to PS5 right here, but it is also coming to Xbox and PC, as you can see in the wallpaper image, where it says that this game is in fact for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as Steam. Not coming to Switch. The Switch probably can't handle this game. But yeah, the fact that this game is coming to basically all platforms is a big positive. It means that everyone can experience what is a masterpiece from Hideo Kojima, hopefully faithfully recreated and also tastefully modernized where it needs to be on both graphics and gameplay fronts. And with how successful remakes have been recently, and based on just small glimpses of what I've seen of this game through the gameplay screenshots and through the trailer, so far this looks to be a pretty faithful remake. So I'm going to stay optimistic that they can do this project justice, that they can really nail this remake, because they have to. Metal Gear Solid 3 is many people's favorite Metal Gear game, and it holds a special place in many people's hearts. They absolutely cannot mess this up. They have to launch it when it's ready. They cannot launch it unpolished, unfinished. They better really do a great job at this. So far, so good, though, honestly. So far, I'm feeling optimistic based on what I've seen, but I'd love to see some gameplay footage down the line, and I'll certainly look forward to that, and when that does happen, I'll, of course, report back. But yeah, man, it's been really cool to get back into analyzing some Metal Gear stuff. I really miss doing this. I hope the folks out there who've been with me since the Metal Gear days have missed this too and had some fun with this particular video. And hopefully, yeah, we'll find out more about this game, and what we find out will be positive things. Until then, though, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater trailer and the screenshots that Konami has released thus far. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.